Hello, my name is Justin Hickman. I'm with Vertispan. Today is Monday, June 19th, and today I'm going to continue with the project that I've been working on for building a GWT application. And today we're actually going to look at Domino history. Last time we streamed, we were mainly looking at some of the older legacy GWT portions of like places and place controller, things like that. But today we're just going to try something new. So let me go ahead and switch it to my screen, and we can see that there's Domino history. Here's the other project, Domino kit, Domino history, and this one allows you to basically tokenize all of the URL stuff for the different paths. You can actually have some variables on it, be able to push and pop history tokens, things like that. So might be interesting to see if it'll work for us, and specifically with being able to route for all of our plugins to work. So I am going to add this to our project. Release candidate 3. I think the latest was release candidate 5. That's why I had the Sonatype Maven search up here. So let's go ahead and open up our POM. Let's open up Domino history version. Put that in here. And under our dependency management, let's go ahead and throw this under here as well. And is that the only one? So there's the release and the other snapshot. I'm not sure if the sources come with it or not. We'll just see. So let's go ahead and save that, and then maybe under our core, we will go ahead and add. I'm surprised I don't have Domino on the core side. And let's go ahead and sync our Maven stuff. Hopefully my audio's okay today. I decided to pull my microphone off of my arm, and I just have it as a desk mount, or a stand. Might be a little bit farther away from my mouth, so I might have to play around with the gain a little bit. That did not work. Domino kit, Domino dash history. Oh, client. Is that what it said here? History. I wonder if this is just the parent project. Now, it looks like this one's also release candidate 15. Okay, so the parent, so that's just a POM. So I need to change this to client and change history down here to client. Resync my Maven stuff. There we go. And let's go ahead and see if we can clean install this. I haven't imported this into our Maven project yet, but it is a GWT lib, so it should automatically be added to our module GWT.xml. So if I go under here, look at core. Yep, there it is. So it automatically added that history inheritance into our module GWT.xml. So that's really good. So that should compile just fine. So what we probably want to do is open up core, and let's just take a look at what our options are with this. Looking at the documentation, it looks pretty simple to use. We have a state history. I'm assuming that is with state history. Yeah, that is with Domino client, history client. And attach the sources. Browser implementation of app history. All right, so what I might do, let's put this in our dependency injection stuff. So our core component, core module, here we go. So we should be able to come down here and create a singleton of the state history. So then we would be able to, within our core, inject state history. And I might end up having to move my microphone because it's starting to pick up every time I touch my desk. There we go. All right, so Maven did successfully compile. I am actually going to stop all of my servers because of the fact that I just dumped all of the stuff that I was running just a while ago. And that is history. I can probably just change the same name, that's fine. So after we inject into this class, we can play around with some of this stuff. So here we can listen to different tokens. So let's listen to a token filter. And let's say that it starts with test. I think the second argument is going to be the listener, which will have an event. And that event is I guess that's a state, not an event. And we can grab some data from it. Looks like we can normalize the other token and get path parameters, which is kind of cool. So it looks like we can get a lot of stuff on here. So if we listen to any token, we can just console it out. If we do a starts with, grab that, and we print that out. Of course, that's going to print it twice if it starts with path 1, because there are 2 listeners on the same state, and their code's identical on both of those. So the history token. Current token, is that the same as the other state? So history current token is a state history token. Okay. And state is just a state. And there's the history token, but not the state history token. All right. So I am just learning this on the fly. I did take a look at this a little bit last week, but I wanted to wait until I stream this to actually try this out. Okay. So let's try that. Let's history, listen, token filter, any. Then we should be able to console log. Did we do the state? Yeah, state, token, value. I'm actually going to put any in here. That's going to output a string, but it's actually going to output the string object, which might be annoying, but we'll see that here in a second. So let's go ahead and start up the servers. We're going to run the code server, and then we're going to run Jetty right after that. Let's go ahead and pin that tab. It's kind of interesting. Huh. Inject. Weird. For some reason, I think it's because I changed the name of the field. Since I changed the name of that field from state history just to history, I think that caused some problems. So let's go ahead and in here, let's go ahead and clean install directly from the app core. See if that's able to regenerate the other classes appropriately. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it was weird. Wish it handled annotation processors a little bit cleaner. Right, and let's run Jetty. Let's go ahead and pin that tab so that we can get back to it later. All right, there we go. And let's come back over here to the other browser and let's refresh that and see what we have. So I am not entirely sure how the URLs are going to look for this. Doesn't really say. I know with the URL handling for GWT places, it used a hash symbol for the tokenizer. I'm not sure what it does on here. Well, let's try to use a hash. Okay, so there's that. That doesn't look like... Yeah, of course that's not gonna work at all. Guess we can try throwing on a state. Let's see what that does. So, history push state token of test. Oops. Let's see what that does. So let's remove that and refresh, recompile, let it run that again, and let's see what happens. Oh. That's probably not good, because if I were to refresh this, it's going to have some issues. that's probably not a good idea. So it's changing it to a URL. It's changing the location href to something that won't actually work if I were to refresh. Is there like a prefix? Because we can't do the... So what does push do? Let's take a look at that again. So push state, change the window URL without firing the events. Okay, so that's why whenever we push that, it didn't actually fire the event. But if we were to, instead of pushing the state, fire the state, oh yeah, it's gonna be annoying. Probably need some sort of prefix, right? So that we don't change the URL to something invalid. Yeah, so here it actually showed any test, which is the token value. And we could do something with this, make our application like a front controller, where all URLs from a context root just point to the same index.html. Don't know if that's the best choice here. So there is a root path. So what if I were to, inside of my core module, set a root path? Let's create a constant, and let's make this a pound symbol. Let's see what this does. So once we go here, it's going to fire that. See, yeah, that's not a good idea either. If I were to refresh that, okay. That seems to be okay. And the reason it didn't do anything here, so if I put anything over here, okay, because of the pound symbol, I think it's able to handle that appropriately. Without the pound symbol, it's going to want to actually go to a URL on the other server, and obviously that's not going to work because we're not mapping that URL to anything. But the hash symbol, pound, that seems to work just fine. And it does look like it's able to identify that it's already at a current state. And if I were to, I guess whenever you do that, yeah, notice that it doesn't have the event fired here. So the handler doesn't get that event whenever we go to this URL. So that's peculiar. All right. So yeah, that root path is probably okay. Can I get rid of that root path? Normalize token. None of this has JavaDoc, does it? Yeah, it might. Okay. I guess because I hadn't attached the source yet, the JavaDoc wasn't showing. Well, let's try some other stuff. So right now we have a state token of this. We can also throw some data in there. State. So that is a state token. Or subclasses of state token, none. When we construct this, it does not look like it. Private constructor, so it has to be through a public static method, a factory method. Well, I am not entirely sure. Let's take a look at this again. Yeah, so this is firing a state based upon paths. What if I had some data in it, though? So this uses colons for variables. Sometimes we want to listen to token where a specific part of it is a variable. In this case, we can simply define that part of a variable using colon in the token filter when we define a listener. Okay. Thought this had more information about this. I know that you can replace paths. You can remove a path. Don't really know what the difference is with fragments versus the path parts. The pin parameter. You get the current state history token. Add a query parameter. Set a query parameter. I don't know what the difference is between these. So that one removes it. Otherwise, it just appends. Because you could have in your URL foo equals 1 or 5 and foo equals 2, and it just creates like an array of foo, right? But set will actually remove a parameter if it already exists. I'm not sure what that does if it exists multiple times. Yeah, what if you appended the same parameter multiple times and then you just called remove once? Does it only remove the last one or the first one? So let's see. So set query parameter, foo and bar. So I'm going to fire that initial token, and that'll make test as our current token, and then I can set query parameters on that. I don't know if that's actually going to fire a new event or not. And these are just some of the things that we have to figure out before throwing it all into the application. doesn't change anything. History, current token. I mean, I can refire it, maybe. Yeah, let's see if we can refire that. Nope, that didn't change anything either. Hmm. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Java doc is off screen. A normalized token that contains the parsed and matched path and fragment parameters from the token expressions. Page title. Parse token of the URL, so let's grab that. So we have the state, which is just a state. We grab the token. Yeah, so here we can actually add and remove. I don't know what the fragments are. So right now it's foo bar, but then it's going to change it to test. All right, there we go. So it must be a linked list. Yeah, it's just looping onto itself. Size 0. So it doesn't have any fragments. Size is still 0. What constitutes a fragment? That broke. Query string foo is missing an equals operator. Well, that's not technically true. You can have query params that don't have an equal. That's not a fragment, so I don't know what a fragment is. And this isn't actually firing anything. I mean, I guess what we can do is introduce a local variable. Token dot set query parameter foo bar. Then we can do a history.fire state. Oh, this is a state token. This is not a token. We can grab the path, the paths, query parameters as a map. We can replace stuff. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of documentation on that. Is there a wiki or anything? So to get the current URL token, use history current token. Every time this method is called, it will return a new history token instance. Once it's obtained, we can use it to manipulate once the following methods, blah, 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 blah. All right. But then what do we do with it? So we can call value and turn it as a string. So what if I were to fire a state? So here's token parameters. So if I did value of this, is that going to be enough for it to get that foo and bar in the list? And it is. Okay. So it looks like we have to grab a current token, which always returns a brand new instance of the current token. So that's history.current token. If I take a look at that, it does return a new instance of it, and it's able to parse it. We can modify stuff, and then we can just fire a state, and creating a new state token from this state history token's value. Looks like that's able to work, and I should be able to up here, even though I don't have fragments. I need to figure out what the other fragments are. If I log state token parameters, that's going to return a map of a string to list of string. String to list of string. I guess because some of these can occur multiple times. There we go. So this was the first one. So taking a look at so we fire state there and we fire state there. So we fire state twice. And the first time it's just test, right? Yeah, we're just firing a state of just test by itself. Then we grab the current token, we set some query parameters on it, and reset it again, firing a brand new state with that token. And we have test foo bar, and that does end up resulting in the listener being called. We printed out the fragments, which doesn't have any, and it also printed out the map of values, which is a map of string, which is going to be the key foo in this particular case, and a list of the strings that it can contain. Because of the fact that we could do foo equals fnord, notice that it ran that listener again. If I were to open this one up, let's look under string map, maybe. There we go. So the backing map, we have foo, and that goes to a list, an array, and it has bar and fnord as the two values of foo. Whereas the first time that we called it, it only had foo and a single value, which was bar. Yeah, okay. It's not too shabby. Just have to figure out how to throw this stuff without really damaging the URL. Because if I were to hit the back button, it goes to the previous state, and it just fires that again. And then hit the back button again, it goes to the previous state. And all this without actually reloading the app, because we have that hash symbol there. We don't have to worry about that too much. Okay. So let's try that out. I think to do that, we need to rewrite some of our application. Let's get rid of this. We might, I don't know if we want to provide that to the rest of the app, but let's go ahead and, what two plugins do we have? We have the CRM and the other notes. I think what we could do is probably create, instead of what we were doing before with a menu registry, what if we were to have a plugin registry and a plugin config, and then we basically do all of the other registrations as necessary from that plugin configuration. So let's try it that way. So in here we will have a plugin registry. Public. Guess I don't have plugin. Got this abstract one, but actually, we're not going to be registering ourselves. That would be weird, right? Would that be weird? That might not be weird. Yeah, so let's create a new class called plugin. Interface, actually. And let's make sure that the base plugin implements it. Plugin. That way all of our plugins will be a plugin. And we register a plugin with that plugin. Then I guess we don't really need a config, so to speak. We just, whenever we come in here, let's say in the CRM plugin, instead of a menu registry, what if we were to inject ourselves with the plugin registry? Then we do plugin registry, register plugin this. Not sure. I'm not sure. That might cause problems. Might make more sense to have a config, a plugin config, instead of passing this instance, because that instance is going to be injected with stuff and might be a little bit too large. Let's try it with a config first. That way we can at least figure out what our stuff is going to be that we need. Instead of having, because if we were to do it with a plugin like this, we might have to do things like string, get title, and so on. And then every single plugin would have to implement those methods, and that would be obnoxious. Might be better to have a plugin config that, if there's a configuration that's not defined whenever registering the plugin, then it would just use some reasonable default, right? So if we were to do that, let's do private string title. Then we can do builder. I should do a builder. I usually do things like this. Maybe this is under editor and code style. No. general or live templates. Here we go. And do I have any templates I've created? Yeah, here's my templates. And I've created a few templates, such as some UI binder stuff, GXT logging. Yeah, this was a long time ago whenever I worked at Cincha. Apparently some of this stuff is really old. Property object, what is that doing? Now, yeah, that was whenever I was doing Java FX stuff. I was wanting to create some object properties really quickly. I guess we can try this. Let's create a new template, live template, and let's do method. Right. Yep. I know. It doesn't have anything in there, but I kind of wanted to see old stuff. I'm not used to the screen being this large. So property type name. So this is just creating a bunch of variables. Here we go. Oh. Apparently I did some groovy scripts. Yeah, I know. That's very interesting. Yeah, maybe I don't want to do this right now. I'll do this off screen. So basically what I'm going to want is being able to create some builder methods automatically based upon the other fields that are in the other class. So if I wanted to, I can do a plugin config with title, string title, title equals title, and then return this. So it should be fairly straightforward to actually create a live template for that. And then I would just type in builder method and it would be able to list out all of the other fields that are in this type. And I'll just type it long ways for now. All right, so pub plugin config, that's fine. So in the plugin registry, we have a plugin config. And let's go ahead and save that somewhere. Not sure what we're doing with that plugin config yet. Now we can just throw it on a list. Because if we were to need to do graceful shutdowns or anything like that, we would be able to run through all of the configs and call like shutdown or something on it. I don't know what we're going to do. What tasks do I have? So I have the Domino history for URL routing, creating lifecycle for plugins. I don't know what it's doing. What is it doing here? Did I accidentally restart a server? Create plugin registry, and that's what I'm doing right now. That is going to be in the core module. Probably don't need to do anything special with this. What I could do is protected plugin registry. And I do it this way? I don't know if I can have a protected constructor. And then in my module, I should be able to bind a singleton, abstract, again, registry. Maybe. So then in my core component, I would have to expose it. It would be a plugin registry. Provide plugin registry. I'm going to stop my server real quick since we're making so many drastic changes here. And let's go ahead and run this to make sure that everything is still functioning okay. And it is not. Okay, yeah, I didn't think that was going to be a actual bind here. Provide singleton that? I don't know. Will that work? These methods cannot be abstract. I'm gonna remember how that works. Chrome. Tutorial, initial dagger. Yeah, it's for binds, you're basically binding one to another type. How do you just tell a class that it's a singleton? I mean, maybe I just don't have anything in here. If I did this, but then in my plugin registry, I say that it's a singleton? If I like that or not, but I think that might be correct. Might just instantiate it, but I might want to inject stuff, so that's a little conundrum that I have. That did not work. Oh, that's right, because we need to actually use a config now instead. That seems to have at least fixed that other problem. Hopefully we're going to get the same instance back, but we will see. With every injection, I want to make sure that it contains the same instance because it's a singleton. Alright, so that's plugin registry, and in here, we just have to figure out what we're going to do. We before had this menu registration, and we had two uses for this. One was to register a menu item, and probably don't want to do that anymore. So we probably want to do a plugin registry. Register plugin, plugin config. Let's do a create. Static plugin config, create, return new plugin config. And we should probably make this with a private constructor. I don't know why, but it just probably makes more sense as a factory there. For consistency's sake. With title, CRM. Alright. So then we just have to figure out what to do with this. So that probably means in the plugin registry, we'll probably want to inject the menu registry. Maybe I can just do a field injection. Can I do that? Possibly. Menu registry. Register menu item. Navigation item. So, and this is going to be a little bit different. So we might want to change how the menu registry works because of the fact that we're no longer wanting to change the main display. We're probably wanting to change the navigation on this side just to fire a token change event. So we'll probably do that. But then we have to figure out how to change the main display area. So it's like the client portion will need to register some sort of display area for the main stuff. So let's go ahead and comment that out and do the same in the other notes plugin. Comment that out. Because instead of this, we're wanting to inject the other plugin registry. Registry, register plugin, config, create, title, notes. Yeah, that's probably good. So what if in the plugin registry in config get title, let's go ahead and create a method for that. Yeah, let's go ahead and inject the state history. And we can listen. Let's say that all of our stuff is starts with for now. Starts with and title lowercase. say it would be kind of weird to do this on the plugin registry, but we can see what that does. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Because we're gonna have to do some extra stuff with that. Alright, so let's take a look at our shell, see what we're doing in that. I know that we are injecting the menu registry here. This is just setting the content of that layout. I'm hiding the left panel. So whenever we click on this, it's just doing that. But we probably want to change that so that we fire a history event instead. Should I allow everywhere to be able to fire history stuff? I guess I can for now. Can I do a get history token? And I might as well just do that completely in there. And we'll figure out how to do the other stuff later. All right, so navigation item. Oops. Navigation item. Yeah, might as well do it from here. All of that. Accidentally opened up some JavaScript stuff. All right, create method. Just for now. And we're not going to be using the component in here for now. Only because I want to see how this works. So let's go back to the Notes plugin. We have that, and the CRM plugin, we have that. So if I were to refresh, we are not running the server. Let's go ahead and run the code server. Let's see if that'll work for us. State history cannot be provided without an inject constructor. Where is that happening? In the shell. Am I not exposing that? I swear I was exposing that. State history. State history. let's just run a clean install again. Wonder if it has some old generated code that it's not seeing anymore. So far so good. Now it's on the GWT compilation. Yeah, we do need to change the navigation item to be a little bit different. Oh, I never actually changed that in the other plugin registry. So in here, so we do need to change the navigation item. Let's remove the component from this. So it doesn't look like we're calling this anymore. Guess we don't need that anymore. Alright, let's get rid of component, getter and setter, and let's call it a day. That might be need. So then from the other plugin registry, you should be able to register the title. Don't like this, and we will be changing that because we're going to need that closure back into the other plugin config. All right, so see if that'll run now. Hopefully this time it'll run. So far, so good. There we go. All right, so let's run the other Jetty server now. All right, start at the server. Fresh. Of course, that's not going to work anymore. We should probably change the core side to remove some of our test code. And that was just under core. Yeah, this class right here. Stuff out. We can still listen to all of the history tokens. Let's just make sure that it's still coming in appropriately. So let's refresh. And now whenever we click on this, does it change it? Yeah, it changes it to CRM. And opening up this, it changes that to notes. And we are receiving the token for it. And of course, if we were to do this again, let's clear out the other console. The URL didn't change. It will not refire the same event, which is good, which is very good. Yeah, that works for me. And this should be empty, because there shouldn't be any parameters. And that's correct. All right, cool, cool, cool. All right. So let's get rid of that, get rid of that, and that. So now we just have to figure out whenever we do this, we need some sort of front controller. For each plugin, because it's going to have to handle all of that. Yeah, this is going to be stupid, but I'm going to do like an is widget. Or no, not is widget. It's element. Display. This isn't really a registry, so to speak. Basically, we do need to set some sort of main display area. So in our shell, let's say that we're injecting. I really like to do this. Can I just switch this to field injection? Now that might give a little issue because of the fact that we don't have these. Yeah, let me just take that back. Then we can do a main display registry. What were we doing before? What is the diff of this? Shell. There it is. Before we were taking the layout and setting the other content to whatever it is. Could do something similar to what we had with a GWT with accepts one widget. We can do like an accepts one element. I don't know if that exists already or not. No, it doesn't look like it's, at least in my vicinity here. So accepts one widget. There we go. So if we take a look at this, you can see that it has a set widget and it provides an is widget. So we'll just want to do the same sort of thing. So set element is element is element. What did I call it? Just W? E. That's fine. So sets the only widget of the receiver, replacing the previous if it was there. Okay, so let's just do a similar Java doc here. Set the only element of the receiver, replacing the previous element if there was one. The element or null to remove the element. Sure. And in the main display registry, you can have public void register main display, accepts one element. just did. Create field, display. Sure. And in the shell here, we should be able to, don't need to hold onto the main display registry. What we could do, because we're creating the layout here, we can just do main display registry, register main display, and this is the element. And it's going to be layout set content E. Apparently that needs to be a node, but I could replace that with a lambda, and there we go. That was simple. And what I want to do is in the core component and core module, and the core module, so we don't really need to do anything there. Let's just do the main display registry here as a singleton. Sure. And then in the core component, we can do main display registry, main display registry. That way it exports it to other modules. And the only one that it really needs to be done for is the client module, so that it would be able to register itself as the main display. I don't know how else to actually get that in there, but that should suffice. All right. Okay, that should do it for the shell, I believe. Navigation item. We're just setting the title, and we're getting the history token from the title as lowercase, so that's fine. Okay. So now we basically need some sort of front controller on every single plugin that we have. Because we're going to have like the base URL. In this particular case, we'll have notes. Doesn't mean that we're not going to have a bunch of other crap underneath it. Maybe some query parameters, maybe additional paths. But we just need to know that we started with notes as the path, and we're able to at least get to the proper channel for that plugin. All right, so plugin config. Let's just create another class here called plugin front controller. I will rename this at some point, and this will kind of be our main controller for this. So we'll have like lifecycle methods like close. And let's have a public boolean can close. Maybe not a boolean. Yeah. Fine. This is sort of like an activity. If you ever looked at the GWT activities before, see, it had may stop and it returned a string. Then it had all of the other lifecycle methods. I was also looking at activity with Android development. And the activities here allows you to actually pause activities, because obviously on a mobile or just an actual thick client application, you should be able to pause or freeze any activity that you're doing, because we may want to display some other activity, but then pop that off, close it, and redisplay the one below it. I don't know if we can easily do that within. Why that's not working? But I don't know if we can easily do that in the web application. But there's really no reason why we can't, because we're holding onto a display and it has a particular state. We may need to be able to have a lifecycle method to say, hey, pause this, and we can like offload some of the data as necessary. I don't know. There's a number of ways that we can do this, but I think for the time being, we're just going to have this as some sort of mechanism for lifecycle. Then we might want to have a start. Public void start. And this is going to have the accepts one widget as the main display. Most likely this is going to be a abstract class, or maybe a probably abstract class. Abstract and abstract. We could probably also do a handle URL and give it a state history token. State history maybe, or just state. Yeah, we'll figure that one out. All right. So let's just implement a single one for now, and call it a day on that. So what if we had a CRM front controller? Extends plugin front controller. Implement all of those methods. State. Is that what we want? I don't know what set normalized token does. There's no Java doc on it. I mean, we could just we could use the state. We may actually just use bits and pieces from it, but state should be fine. But if we were to start the main display, we may need something in here. Well, let's see. Plugin registry. We have the CRM plugin with front controller, or just with controller. Controller. And what we're going to do on this one, we're going to inject the CRM front controller. And this is going to be only within the, not the core module, but the CRM component. So whenever it injects this, it should be able to inject this instance. And this one could be a plugin scope. That way it's a singleton within the scope of that plugin. Have a constructor. Oops, that separated the inject annotation. There we go. And let's go ahead and create a method for this. And this is going to be a in front controller. Controller, return this, and this dot controller. Oops. Let's go ahead and create that as a field. And we can get controller. I don't know where that extra character came from. There we go. That'll work. Plugin registry. Whenever we register this plugin, we're registering this state handler, and I probably need to change this so that we have the other state in a closure here. Final map of string to plugin front controller. Controllers equals new hash map. All right, so then before we do any of that, we could do if controllers contains key, plugin config, get title, row new, illegal argument exception, unable to register multiple plugins with same title. Otherwise, here we're adding it, doing the lowercase on it, which we probably, yeah, that's fine. All right, so then whenever we receive a history call to this, then we got to figure out what to do. And the life cycle would probably be, again, this shouldn't be in the other plugin registry. I think this is a really bad place for this, but it's where I'm at, and this is where I'm going to do it for right now. Right controller, current controller. That's going to be null for now. If the current front controller is not equal to null, then we got to figure out what to do with the current controller. If it's not null and it's not the same, actually, do that. If it's not the same, then and only then, if the current controller not equal to null, what can we do with that? We can do the current controller can close. If it can close, I might take a page out of the I don't know why that's not working. I just want to see the documentation for it. Let's see. Okay, so here's somebody. This is MIT. It does have a life cycle. Okay, here we go. So on create, on start, on resume, and here's that on pause. So you have the ability to pause things. After pausing, you do have either the ability to resume or stop it, but you have to go through pause before you go to stop. And I guess that would just clear up any kind of memory and stuff like that. And then on destroy, activity shutdown. That's not a terrible life cycle. Can you ask? Doesn't look like you can ask an activity if you can remove focus, or if you can force it to close. Let's just do it as a this way. All right, so if it can close, we can call close. Actually, if it can't close, let's just return. Otherwise, we can close that one, and if the current is not equal to that, then we can do current controller equals plugin config get controller, current controller, start, and then we can get the main display registry. And hopefully it's there by the time we get here. Might have to do something with that. So if we're listening to these tokens and the main display is not set yet, we may just have to exit and not try to do anything. Otherwise, we're going to get a null pointer exception. That's it. Otherwise, if the current controller is equal, what we could do is handle the URL, and this is just the state. Because it's front controller, it's going to handle all of the requests for that plugin, and then you can do whatever the crap you want behind the scenes. It's just a one-to-one mapping with the history token and the controller itself. Yeah, that can work. All right, what does that do? Is that going to give me a problem? Yeah. Oh, that's right. Interrupter. So it does look like we have to place compile. Restart maybe, because we are changing generated code. Hopefully this actually runs through the notation processor. It doesn't look like it. Main display registry cannot be provided. Ow. There's the main display registry. I swear I had an inject. Oh, that's weird. I swear I had a NoR constructor here with inject. All right, does that fix it? Again, I don't know if I like putting the scope on the other class definition itself. I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah, I think it's because of stale data. So what I'm going to do is probably stop all of the servers and clean because it has old generated code. And can we just get by with compile? I'm hoping that we can just run compile and not have to worry about doing the GWT compilation. Technically, I could probably do a no GWT compilation here and just skip that step. So far, so good. Don't want to jinx it though. Jetty. Let's go ahead and rerun that eventually. Hello. There we go. Not sure why it doesn't allow me to click that right away. It sits there for a little bit disabled. There we go. Start it up here. This time it should be fine because it already ran through one GWT compile. Not doing anything. Oh, that's right. Didn't actually do anything with that front controller. Controller display. Yeah. Received or starting up CRM. Let's log. CRM history change. Let's see what that does. Yeah, and that's because it's a null pointer exception. I haven't configured the front controller for the notes plugin. Starting up CRM. Okay, okay, I can handle that. So let's try something out. What did we have before in the CRM plugin? CRM front controller CRM plugin. What did we do before? I think we just had a. We were just throwing in an alert. That's what we were doing as the main display. Probably don't want to do that. We'll probably want in our... you know what? This is... fan of this. And that's only because whenever we're registering this front controller, we don't want it to always be there. What if I did a console log here? I want to see whenever we're constructing a new CRM front controller. I might have to implement a notes front controller. Yeah, see, that didn't and start up a new one. And it won't, because we're holding on to a single instance of it. Yeah, so whenever we are registering this with the plugin config, we're just passing this instance, so it's holding on to it. So of course it's not going to be getting a brand new one every single time. We might end up having to do like a supplier. Then we're going to have some issues whenever we're trying to see the same instance, because here we're actually calling the plugin config to see if it's the same instance. I mean, we could. Instead of holding on to, well, we still have to hold on to the current controller, but we do need to change this. The plugin config can no longer contain the controller itself. We will have to have a supplier. Oops. I don't know why I keep getting those little weird characters. Alright, so that takes care of that. Here, let me just do supplier. Anything that extends. Anything that extends the plugin front controller, right? Doesn't have to be the plugin front controller itself. Plugin registry. All right, so here I guess we don't really care. This might be a little weird. Instead of comparing the other controllers, we'll just compare the current state, or active state. If the active state, if objects equals the title with the active state, not equals, means that we're switching to a different controller. If the current controller is not null, we can check to see if we can close it. If we can't, we can return. Otherwise, we close it. And then here we grab the current controller. Get controller supplier. That's where yeah, that's fine. I'll change the name of that. Get, then we start. Otherwise, we handle URL. That's fine. Oh, and we need to set the active state. So if they're not equal, then we do active state equals title. Just use the other title as that. So now we're just comparing strings. That's probably okay. And we are failing. I changed something else. Controller cannot be resolved or is not a field. That's fine. This controller, we'll do that. I'm not actually doing anything with the extension other than calling a couple of methods on it. It's probably fine. I don't know. I don't know why that's having a problem, so I'm just going to just recompile and hope for the best, restart my servers. Kind of obnoxious to have to do this. But it doesn't seem to handle very well any kind of changes that impact Dagger negatively. Thought that allowed me to do that by default, just because we have something that can create a CRM front controller. Of course, we don't need this to be plugin scope anymore. We can just do a normal scope now. That way we instantiate a brand new front controller every single time we call that supplier. I might have to do a clean. Yeah, let me do a clean real quick. And let's do a compile off of that. See if that works. If anything, I can just throw that into the Dagger module. Yeah, looks like I'm going to have to do that. Alright, so CRM component. Let's go to the CRM module. Provides. Or wait. Am I just not allowed to use a supplier? Do I have to use something different? Yeah, I think I have to use a provider instead of a supplier. They're basically the same. So here's a provider, and this is under the JavaX inject. So that's probably all I need. So over here, let's do a provider instead of a supplier. Provider instead of a supplier. Provider instead of a supplier. Then this doesn't change any because we didn't do anything with it. Hopefully that fixed it. Just being in the correct package, I'm hoping that it knows that a supplier or a provider is the right thing to create with auto injection. Yeah, it looks like it did. So let's go ahead and restart that. So that's good to know. Use a provider, and it's basically a supplier. Really no different. If I take a look at side by side, supplier, which is Java util function, it returns T, whatever you call get. A provider under JavaX object, same thing. We have public interface supplier, public interface provider, and they just return T with get. So really no difference between the two. All right, so that started. Let's start up Jetty, and hopefully that'll work this time. Go. Okay. Note's still going to get a null pointer exception because of the fact that we haven't supplied it. Probably should do some better checks in there whenever you're registering a plugin. If it doesn't have a front controller, it will just die. CRM. All right, constructing new controller. Let's go off of it, and if we do it again, it did not. Oh, because of that null pointer exception, I do need to implement a notes plugin front controller. Why can't I type? Public notes front controller. Let's just check out the CRM front controller real quick. Looks like I'm just injecting the no-art constructor. Okay. Let's just implement all the methods. I'll probably do something similar. I'm just going to say true on this. So let's go back to this guy. Let's put them side by side. My head's going to some of that to be clipped off, but I'm going to say true on both of these. Make sure that we can close them. Console log, closing notes. Console log, notes, startup. And I'll probably do the same thing here. Let's console log, constructing new notes controller. And what else we got? Handle URL. So what's the other problem here? Oh, I need to inherit. That's pretty simple. I'll do that here in a second. Console log. Handling. History change. Notes. Alright. That just means that I need to inherit that project. I can just do it from here. Make it a little bit easier. Domino kit. So let's add another dependency. Oops, I shouldn't separate those. And this is going to be Domino history client. Oh. And we already have the version defined. So that's good for that. And eventually that'll go away. Oh, I do need to resync Maven. Not sure why that's not doing it automatically. Wonder if that's in my config somewhere. Let's see, Maven. I don't know. I swear there is a like an automatic import mechanism. There we go. Do I need to restart anything? I hope not. I'm tired of restarting servers. All right, so there's CRM. There's notes. Oh, never did. Go into my notes plugin and inject that. Inject provider of notes front controller provider. I probably didn't change the name of it over there. Plugin, or not plugin registry, controller provider. Alright, that is opening the CRM. So that constructed a new controller. And then whenever we go to notes, oh, that is still, why is that having a problem? That doesn't make any sense. Does it? Yeah, I wonder if I need to restart. Now we're just gonna have some issues again, huh? All right. What is the issue here? That's fine. Let's go ahead and clear this. Let's clean compile again. Yeah, I need to figure out what to do about these annotation processors not actually executing. Hopefully this will compile now. There it is. That compiled. Let's run the code server. And while that's running, let's go ahead and start up Jetty as well. Think we have enough to get Jetty working? Because I know that it, during the GWT code server compile stuff, it's got to push in a special nocache.js file. Refresh this. I just want something simple to go in between these two modules. There we go. Let's go back to the console. So it's not running anything right now, but if I were to do CRM, it constructed a new controller, started up CRM. Right? So then go to notes, constructing. See, it didn't. Hey, did you see the browser plugin that someone published over the weekend that tries to handle some of the SDM stuff? No, I did not. I did not. I was kind of out of it with being Father's Day and everything. Yeah, I will check that out. It is going to a different browser. I'll have to check this out. SDN compile. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that would be very interesting if it does well. So it would be kind of interesting. So it looks like this was all created manually. It'd be funny to create the plugin. Maybe that's a project that we can do at some point. Create a Chrome or Firefox extension with GWT. But yeah, I'll look at that off stream because I'm on the verge of getting this to work. It is constructing a new nodes controller, but it doesn't seem to be calling close. Okay, that one did call. Do I just not have logs? Maybe that's my problem. Oh, I'm not logging it. Closing CRM. And close. There we go. And we'll probably try out the can close to return false later, just to see what it does. And I might do something similar with the old GWT activities and return a string in a may close sort of way. That way I can pop up an error message. Or I can just rely upon the front controller for a plugin to determine what it needs to do. If it's either doing some sort of pop-up, you haven't saved your changes, but that would also require the ability to, yeah, that might be kind of interesting. I'll have to play around with that. Just have different things going on through my mind with that one. Note startup, starting core module, done with main entry point. And then CRM. So this isn't actually doing anything whenever I'm first loading it, right? Correct. So I probably need to, within my core, I take a look at my Git local history. Maybe I wasn't doing it from here. Swore I had some sort of a scheduler. Maybe that was whenever I was doing the places. Yeah, here it is. So that was whenever I was doing that. So maybe I'll just do the same sort of thing. Scheduler get schedule deferred, and then in here I can do history.current token, history.fire state. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I could do it like this. Yeah, this is probably not the right approach, but I'll at least be able to refire the event based upon the current token. So this one, yeah, that did not work. I was hoping that was going to work. Yeah, I got too many windows open. I'm just not used to this zoom level. I need to fire history event. Then history. So root path, paths, size 1, and it's a linked list CRM. So why isn't that working? Oh, because it's already the path. Can I fire it forcefully? History dot. I want to really push states. Fire current history. Is that it? Doesn't have any documentation on it. Or, yeah. Let's try that. But if it refires the current history, will it actually go through the listeners? That is the question. And it does. Woo! Yay! So this actually did construct the new controller for the CRM, and it starts it up. And what I want to do for the other time being is close out some of this crap. And I guess because we're firing the current state history, we're not pushing yet something else onto the history stack and be available with the back button, which is good. So I can get this corroded crap. Yeah, that's fine. I'll just leave some of this debugging in here. All right, close that. There's my CRM front controller. So in the other start, let's go ahead and add a button. Click me from CRM. Add click listener. What is this? This is wrong history. I'm not injecting that. Yeah, I might have to do something a little bit different, because I want to have I don't want to have to do an entire if I were to get the current token, yeah, I might create a wrapper around this to handle URL junk. That way I'm not throwing in the raw history object into every plugin and allowing it to do whatever the crap it wants. Because I might need to be able to do... How did I do that before? I removed that code, didn't I? Current token. So what is this one? Token parameter of. Okay, so this is a way to do the key value pairs like foo and bar, right? Kind of work. State token. That's a state history token. state token of let's just see what that does. But yeah, I should probably create a wrapper around that stuff. And if I were to come over here and do notes, that is not clearing that out because the notes front controller is not replacing anything whenever we call set. Why is that having a problem again? Didn't we fix that issue? This is in here. And if we take a look at the compiled output of notes, we have to do that in notes. We only did that on main. That's right. We don't technically need to do this, but we're going to have I think that's what I wanted. We're just going to have IntelliJ complaining. History. Is that what I did? Yeah. History. Org Domino kit, Domino, history. Oh wait, I'm modifying the wrong place. Don't modify the target. Okay, so org history. That one has client in it. We need that. Okay, there we go. That solved that problem. All right, back to this. Hopefully I don't have to restart code server. That create. Success. Let's just do a success one. I guess create is a generic one without style, and you have to set the background color yourself. There we go. So success. Then back to CRM. Notes. Hit the back button forward, and it's able to do it. And because of the fact that this is going out of a plugin completely, it's doing a full shutdown and starting of a new controller instance, which is perfectly fine. We might change something later where the controller says, hey, I have the ability to pause myself so that whenever I hit the back button, I can just redisplay without having to shut completely down. But that's going to be a future goal. So maybe let's create a new task and call it, probably need to create a task system, maybe with a Trello or something like that. This is actually opening up, but what task was I currently on? In that one, probably should have paid attention. Registry. Yeah, this is the one that I was on. All right, so I don't know how to create a new task without actually switching to it. Yeah, it's IntelliJ for you. All right, so that's kind of cool, being able to swap back and forth like that. And again, if I were to go into notes again, even though that's what we're currently in, it's not going to change that. If I were to throw in some sort of query param, notice that it's handling a history change and not fully shutting down the notes front controller and starting it back up. I have a hard time imagining using IntelliJ's own... Oh, I know. I didn't want to set up Trello or anything like that right now. I know that I've set up different servers, and these are the default options. Could use GitHub, but I haven't actually created a GitHub project for some of these streaming activities. Yeah, it would make a lot more sense to use Trello or GitHub. Whatever we have for free. But it'd be kind of nice if we had the ability to use like a local XML data store or something like that. All right. So yeah, this is basically handling the history change. So then the front controller, again, I will wrap this so that we're not passing the actual state history to the to each plugin, but we will be able to say, hey, is there a path on this? And if so, we would be able to do everything internally within the plugin, because like I showed before in our wireframes, which I don't have that open right now. Let me open up the app real quick. Should have already had this open. I forgot to before starting stream. There it is. For any particular plugin, we're going to have an extra plugin navigation bar. So then this would be like CRM default or CRM customers, pipeline reporting, anything under that, and it would keep adding to the same. And because we're only listening for changes with the starts with, it's going to stay within the same plugin, and we're not going to shut down that controller until we actually go out of that plugin completely. And again, we could change later to support being able to pause execution if we want to change an activity without having to do a full shutdown, but that will definitely be a future enhancement. So that, where's my plugin or my stuff here? So that seems to work. I do want to check it with the CRM, because we did have that button, and that button in the CRM front controller is basically firing a state change with the current token with a foobar parameter. Did not work. Not read properties of undefined current token. So does that mean that didn't get injected? You know, it's possible because I added this after the fact. It didn't actually regenerate the bindings for it in Dagger. Yeah, that's a big pain with annotation processors. Yeah, now I'm gonna have problems all over again. Okay. I don't think this is as big of an issue with the Jackal stuff, because I think the Jackal stuff handles the annotation processors in a much more elegant way. This is just trying to use the old GWT Maven plugin for executing with GWT 2.10. Okay, there we go. So yeah, the development life cycle is a little bit more involved in some of this stuff. It would be nice for someone to spend a day or so and get the GWT SDM compiler to run APT internally. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. With the the Thomas Breuer one. Because that's the plugin that I'm using right now. It might actually work that way already with the IntelliJ plugin for basically using the run configs, but I can't use these very well with the Thomas Breuer setup. Right. Yeah, that would be ideal for sure. Let's clear that. That is not doing anything. Well, let's take a look at the other source for that. Close that, and this is the CRM front controller. Okay, yeah, that's not doing anything. It has just the CRM in it. So that's not actually doing anything. So if I were to do token, set query parameter foo to bar, can I do that? Or do I need to call state token of that dot value? I might do that already. Navigation not available during index update. Yeah, it's already doing this, so that's fine. Move that breakpoint, then continue, and there we go. Let's just make sure. I should have probably cleared that first. Let's get rid of some of the stuff. All right. So by default, it's not displaying anything. We can change that later, where we can actually register with the plugin config which one's the default. Maybe if I go here, started it up, click on here, and it did a CRM history change without actually shutting down, restarting the entire plugin. Okay, that works. That seems to have been able to go back to the same front controller without a full round trip, which is very good. I'm hoping that's the way that we're supposed to do this, but I am not entirely sure. But that does probably come up with the conclusion to today's stream. My entire goal of today's stream was to incorporate the Domino history plugin or module library for handling the history. Did a few extra stuff to handle life cycle changes, and I think that works out really well. We're able to do full shutdowns and clear out any kind of memory, especially if we have these large user interfaces. We don't want those to be tying up the heap in the browser, so that whenever we go to a different module, it'll be able to fully destroy everything, shut it all down, constructs a brand new instance, does all of its injections brand new for the front controller, because of the fact that we used a provider instead of just the controller instance itself. So yeah, that'll actually work. We can probably create some for handling the URL. We could probably do some extra stuff in here to be able to handle individual plugin breakdowns, because we might want to do like further routing. And that's the whole point of a front controller, is so that it's able to listen for all of the events. These are through URL parameters going to the one front controller, and it's able to delegate appropriately. It has access to the main display, so then whenever we start, we can hold on to that, and whenever we receive any kind of state change through the URL handler, which might change that to handle state change, or I don't know, we'd be able to replace calling the set element on this main display with whatever that we want. So that'll be very good. We'll have to address that in a future stream. I might be streaming again tomorrow. I would like to put some stuff together before then, and we'll go from there. So hope that you enjoyed it today, and make sure that you subscribe so that you get the notifications whenever we go live, and we'll see you then. Take it easy.